Friedrich Nietzsche, a name synonymous with controversy, stands as a towering figure in the history of philosophy. He was a German philosopher, cultural critic, composer, poet, writer, and philologist, whose work has exerted a profound influence on Western thought. Nietzsche's ideas, often challenging and provocative, forced humanity to confront uncomfortable truths about existence. He rejected the shackles of traditional morality, urging individuals to forge their own paths and embrace their individuality. Nietzsche's philosophy emerged during a time of significant intellectual and social upheaval. The Enlightenment, with its emphasis on reason and progress, had begun to crumble under the weight of its own contradictions. Nietzsche saw this as an opportunity for a radical re-evaluation of values, a chance to move beyond the confines of traditional thinking. His work, characterized by its aphoristic style and bold pronouncements, resonated with those seeking a new way of understanding the world and their place within it. Despite debilitating health issues, Nietzsche produced a remarkable body of work that continues to inspire and provoke generations of thinkers. His critiques of morality, religion, and culture continue to resonate in contemporary debates, challenging us to question our assumptions and embrace the complexities of life. Nietzsche's philosophy is perhaps best known for its radical critique of traditional morality. In his groundbreaking work, Beyond Good and Evil, he challenges the very foundations of our ethical systems. He argues that the concepts of good and evil are not inherent truths, but rather human constructs, products of specific historical and cultural contexts. Nietzsche contends that traditional morality, often rooted in religious dogma, stifles individual growth and creativity. It imposes a set of predetermined values that may not align with an individual's true nature or aspirations. Instead of blindly adhering to pre-existing moral codes, Nietzsche encourages individuals to develop their own values based on a deep understanding of themselves and the world around them. This process of self-discovery, he believes, is essential for living an authentic and fulfilling life. Nietzsche's critique of morality is not an endorsement of nihilism or moral relativism. Rather, it is a call for a more nuanced and individualized approach to ethics, one that recognizes the complexity of human nature and the limitations of rigid moral systems. One of Nietzsche's most enduring and often misunderstood concepts is that of the Übermensch, often translated as Superman or Overman. This figure represents Nietzsche's vision of human potential, an individual who has transcended the limitations of conventional morality and created their own values. The Übermensch is not a literal superhuman, but rather an ideal, a representation of what humanity can aspire to become. It is someone who has embraced their will to power, their capacity for creativity, and their desire for self-actualization. The Übermensch is characterized by their independence of thought, their embrace of challenge, and their unwavering commitment to living a life of meaning and purpose. Nietzsche believed that the path to becoming an Übermensch is through a process of self-overcoming. This involves confronting one's weaknesses, pushing beyond one's comfort zone, and constantly striving for growth and self-improvement. The concept of the Übermensch is about intellectual, creative, and spiritual growth, about embracing one's full potential as a human being. Nietzsche's concept of the eternal return, also known as eternal recurrence, is one of the most challenging and thought-provoking ideas in his philosophy. This concept proposes that time is not linear but cyclical, and that every event in the universe, including our own lives, will repeat infinitely. Imagine, Nietzsche suggests, that you were condemned to relive every moment of your life, with all its joys and sorrows, triumphs and failures, for all eternity. Would you embrace this fate with joy and affirmation, or would you recoil in horror and despair? This, according to Nietzsche, is the ultimate test of one's life and values. The eternal return challenges us to live our lives in such a way that we would have no regrets, even if we had to experience them all over again. Central to Nietzsche's philosophy is the concept of the will to power, which he believed to be the fundamental driving force of all life. This concept, often misunderstood as a crude desire for domination, is more accurately understood as a striving for growth, self-expression, and the overcoming of resistance. Nietzsche argues that all living organisms, from the simplest to the most complex, are driven by a desire to expand their influence, to overcome obstacles, and to assert themselves in the world. This is not necessarily a conscious or malicious desire, but rather an inherent aspect of life itself. The will to power manifests itself in countless ways, from the artist's desire to create to the scientist's quest for knowledge to the athlete's pursuit of excellence. It is the force that drives us to learn, to grow, to create, and to leave our mark on the world. Nietzsche believed that a healthy expression of the will to power is essential for a fulfilling life. When we embrace our will to power, we tap into our creative potential, we overcome challenges, and we live with a sense of purpose and meaning. Nietzsche's proclamation that God is dead is perhaps his most famous and controversial statement. This declaration, however, is not a theological claim, but rather a cultural observation. Nietzsche recognized that the Enlightenment, with its emphasis on reason and scientific inquiry, had eroded the foundations of traditional religious belief. For centuries, God had served as the ultimate source of meaning and morality. However, with the rise of science and secularism, this traditional order was crumbling. Nietzsche believed that this loss of faith would leave a profound void in the lives of individuals and societies, a void that would need to be filled with something new. The death of God does not mean that we should abandon all sense of morality or purpose. Rather, it presents us with both a challenge and an opportunity. The opportunity is to create our own values, to find meaning and purpose in a world without God. Nihilism, a term often associated with Nietzsche, refers to the belief that life is inherently meaningless and without purpose. It is the state of despair that can arise when traditional sources of meaning, such as religion, morality, or societal values, are no longer seen as valid. Nietzsche recognized the dangers of nihilism, seeing it as a potential consequence of the death of God. He understood that the loss of traditional sources of meaning could lead to a sense of despair, a feeling that nothing matters and that life is ultimately futile. However, Nietzsche did not advocate for nihilism. He believed that human beings have an inherent need for meaning and purpose, and that denying this need would lead to psychological and societal decay. Nietzsche's solution to nihilism was not to cling to outdated beliefs or to embrace a life of hedonism and despair. Rather, he called for a radical revaluation of values, a creation of new meanings based on a deep understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Amor fati, a Latin phrase meaning love of fate, is a key concept in Nietzsche's philosophy and a powerful antidote to nihilism. It is the ability to embrace every aspect of one's life, including the good and the bad, the joys and the sorrows, with a sense of radical acceptance. Nietzsche believed that we should not merely accept our fate, but actively love it. This does not mean passively resigning ourselves to whatever life throws our way. Rather, it means embracing the totality of our experiences, including the challenges and setbacks, as opportunities for growth, learning, and self-overcoming. Amor fati is not about blind optimism or denying the reality of suffering. It is about recognizing that suffering is an inherent part of life, and that even in the face of adversity, we can find meaning and purpose. To embrace amor fati is to live with a sense of radical responsibility. Nietzsche's ideas, though rooted in the 19th century, remain strikingly relevant in the 21st. His critiques of morality, religion, and the human condition resonate deeply in a world grappling with rapid technological advancements, shifting social norms, and a pervasive sense of uncertainty. In an era marked by individualism and the decline of traditional institutions, Nietzsche's call for self-discovery and the creation of personal meaning has perhaps never been more timely. His emphasis on the importance of questioning assumptions, challenging conventional wisdom, and forging one's own path speaks directly to the challenges and opportunities of our time. Nietzsche's insights into the human psyche, particularly his understanding of the will to power, continue to inform fields such as psychology, sociology, and even business. His philosophy offers a way to navigate the uncertainties of the 21st century, encouraging individuals to find meaning in a seemingly meaningless world. How, then, do we find meaning in a world seemingly devoid of inherent purpose? Nietzsche, though critical of traditional sources of meaning, was not a nihilist. He believed that meaning is not something to be discovered, but rather something to be created. This creation of meaning, according to Nietzsche, begins with a deep understanding of oneself. We must confront our strengths and weaknesses, our desires and fears, our values and beliefs. This process of self-discovery is not easy, but it is essential for living an authentic and fulfilling life. Once we have a better understanding of ourselves, we can begin to create meaning in the world around us. This meaning can be found in our relationships, our work, our creative pursuits, and our engagement with the world at large. Nietzsche believed that this creation of meaning is an ongoing process, one that requires constant effort and re-evaluation. Nietzsche's legacy is one of both challenge and inspiration. He challenges us to question our assumptions, to confront our fears, and to embrace the fullness of human experience. He inspires us to live with passion, to strive for greatness, and to create our own meaning in a world seemingly devoid of inherent purpose. Nietzsche's philosophy is not for the faint of heart. It is demanding, provocative, and often unsettling. However, for those willing to engage with his ideas, Nietzsche offers a profound and transformative way of understanding ourselves and the world around us. At its core, Nietzsche's philosophy is a call to self-overcoming. In a world often characterized by uncertainty and change, Nietzsche's call to self-overcoming remains as relevant and as urgent as ever.